Hi, I'm Matt here in Michigan.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. Today, Matt and I are taking a look at the newly released film, Antebellum. Antebellum stars Janelle Monae, Jack Houston, Eric Lange, Jenna Malone, and Gabourey Sidibe. It is directed by Gerard Bush and Christopher Rentz in their directorial debut.
Yeah, this movie had a $14.6 million budget. It's received mixed reviews from critics, but a little bit more positive reviews from actual viewers of the audience. This movie is touted as having two of the producers from Get Out. This movie starts out on a plantation run by Confederate soldiers who treat their slaves very harshly, even killing some of those who try to escape. The movie also jumps to a successful author and speaker who addresses racial inequality in the modern world. And in the movie, these two worlds come together. So, Randall, after watching Antebellum, new horror film, what do you think about it?
I think, mild spoiler alert, if you plan on seeing this film, please watch it before you watch our review. There will be mild spoilers for sure. Uh, I don't think it's a horror film.
Say what?
I find it very misleading advertising campaign. That's what strikes me the most about this movie. I think that there are some certain things that definitely could have used more work or more fleshing out. The characters are pretty blank slate. There's not a lot that defines them or their motives. Things just happen around them, and you're just kind of there to experience their pain, suffering, or their elation, joy, and what's going on.
I think one thing I do like about this movie, like the performances and stuff, are really good. Monet's performance is good. I think this is a well-directed movie, but some of the characters are not too great on them. At the beginning, they definitely feel weird. Later on in the movie, the reason why they felt weird is a bit more explained, but for the most part, they're just kind of like cookie cutter characters. Except for like Sidibe's character, she's the only person in this that I felt really had like a personality to her, like a real good character that actually felt real.
It's kind of a shame that she's not more in the film, actually, because she's a super fun character to watch. I don't want to take anything away from the actors because the actors did a great job. That's not really the problem with the film, in my opinion. The problem with the film is it was sold to me, and I think everyone else who watched these trailers, as something that it's not. My go-to example for this is actually Crimson Peak. So when Crimson Peak had its marketing campaign, it was sold as a horror film, a ghost story, and it ends up being really like a love story between ghosts and not very many horror elements. I went to see it specifically for the horror elements that you sold to me, and I went to see Antebellum specifically for the thought timey-wimey, like, okay, what's really going on here elements, and I was just let down by that. Not the directors, not the story, not the actors. I was let down by the expectations that you set forth for me, studio.
Like I said, one of the big things it's touted at is it has, two of the producers from Get Out, and one of those producers was also us. So they're already trying to make connections to those movies. They are trying to hit on, current racial issues and stuff. This movie does tackle that, but I don't think it does it as well as those other movies. So while, making that connection probably helped bring some viewers to this movie, I mean, that's part of the reason that piqued my interest too, was because of those other movies, but at the same time too, because of it, it just doesn't stand up to those other movies.
Absolutely. Keeping it 100, Matt. Yes, I was intrigued when it said from the producers of Get Out, and I'm like, okay. I wish Hollywood would make advertising campaigns for their films to let them stand on their own legs. I don't want to be, necessarily surprised by what I'm going to see. If you advertise something as a weird horror film, please make it a weird horror film. If you're advertising it as a love story, please make it a love story, not vice versa. One of the things that film wise I didn't like it, and this is more like a script problem, really. Like, these characters have to do a thing, so XYZ has to happen. It's otherwise smart characters, intelligent characters, do really dumb things, especially near the end or the climax of this film, where I'm like, what? No, that is so dumb. No one would do that.
And kind of not really going into spoilers, there is kind of, you have to figure out really what's going on in this movie, why these two worlds are, what they are, modern world and this plantation, and how they come together and stuff. It's interesting concept and idea of having these, but then they explain exactly what is going on and stuff. It just, for me, wasn't as impactful as I think maybe it was intended to do. I didn't really put together exactly what was going on. I knew something didn't quite add up. I didn't really figure out, like, hey, oh yeah, until like late in the film. Though this movie does do a good job of sending different clues to you earlier, like, hey, here's some hints of what's going on. But to me, I just kind of like brushed them off. To me, they weren't like impactful moments. They're kind of like, I'm just sitting there like, that just doesn't feel right. That just doesn't feel right, kind of thing.
That just ain't right, boy.
That boy ain't right.
Like I said, I think they were going for something good. I just don't know that it was perfectly executed to get that point, like the main point or whatever of the film.
I'm not sure that I would even recommend people necessarily go watch it, at least not if you want to see it because of how it was advertised. You need to understand that, at least in my opinion, this is not a horror film. It's definitely more on the psychological side of things than the horror side of things. Bad things happen in this film. It's rated R for a reason. Bad things happen to characters in this film. It's hard for me to recommend, though, because I think it has enough problems that it's not something that you necessarily should spend your money on.
I do think this movie has an interesting story to tell, but at the same time too, I would not call this a must-see film by any means. I think some of the things that this movie's trying to do, there's some other movies out there that do it a little bit better. But if you're looking for something, to tie you over for different things, it's definitely an interesting movie to watch, I think.
At least it's new.
At least it's new.
At least it's
something new.
Something new.
Well, if you guys have seen Antebellum, let us know what you think of the movie, or if you haven't seen it yet, if you plan to go see it. What do you think of our review? Be sure to give us a thumbs up if you like it. Also, hit subscribe if you want to see more of our videos, and be sure to turn on those notifications to find out when our other videos are coming out. Also, check us out on Facebook. We always post a day before our videos come out to let you know what the next topic is going to be. For now, I'm Matt here in Michigan. Have a good day.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. See everyone later.
Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.